This time on episode 257 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we talk The Punisher Season 1, Episode 1, 3 a.m. We talk weekly Marvel news, and we talk your feedback.
I'm Brady Berserker.
I'm Big Sexy Brian Bales.
And I'm Metal Matson from Super Geeky Playdate,
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the show you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual host.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready because geekiness begins in
3, 2,
1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your schedule debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, October 7th, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast everywhere via www.geeks.live. Ladies, happy National Inner Beauty Day.
You guys are all beautiful on the inside. And I mean that to everybody listening as well.
If you've chosen to listen to this show, you're absolutely beautiful on the inside.
Also, I think we're all pretty good looking on the outside, too.
Yeah, we're pretty cute.
Yeah, we're a good looking podcast.
Yes, you ladies are. I won't speak for myself. In the meantime, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the multiple Marvel Netflix series like The Punisher, and the Marvel cinematic and comic book universes in general.
Because of falling down holes.
If you'd like to talk to us about falling down holes, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you'd like to talk to us about getting knocked down and getting back up again, you can find us and you can tell us about your experience at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
You can find us at Facebook on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast.
You can find us on Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can see our cute faces on YouTube at www.youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
Agent Haley is not with us this week. She sadly could not join us, but she will be back next week. And next week, we will start recording live a little bit later Sundays afternoon. It will be 4 p.m. Eastern time. She will join us then. Also, this past week, we ran a poll on Twitter over whether our listeners wanted us to start watching, after Legion, the Punisher series or Cloak and Dagger. It was a neck and neck fight. And the winner that barely took it by one vote, was Punisher. So we might have to do Cloak and Dagger after this run of Punisher, but stay tuned. We might actually run another poll. We'll see when we get there. Ladies, are you ready to get into the Punisher?
I am.
Yep.
Here we go. The Punisher came out on Netflix on November 17th, 2017. That's almost a year ago. Season 2 is set to air sometime in 2019, and there were 13 episodes. Michelle, we have a list of the main cast members for those that might not have known the Punisher characters from past and a couple of new ones. So why don't we start going down them?
Sure, we have John Bernthal as Frank Castle Punisher.
We have Amber Rose Riva as Dina Madani.
We have Ebon Moss of Bachrach as David Lieberman, or also known as Micro.
Ben Barnes as Billy Russo.
Jamie Ray Newman as Sarah Lieberman.
We have Kobe Frommer as Zach Lieberman.
Paul Schultz plays Rollins.
We have Michael Nathanson as Sam Stein.
We have Ripley Sobo as Leo Lieberman.
Daniel Weber is Lewis Walcott.
We have Jason R. Moore as Curtis Hoyle.
We have Kelly Barrett playing Maria Castle.
Tony Plana is Rafael Hernandez.
Deborah Ann Wall as our beloved Karen Page. And one person I wanted to mention who's not on this, but who is in this episode, and SP, I think you can support this. Shora Agdashlu is Dina Madani's mother, and you might recognize her as Avasarla, Christian Avasarla from The Expanse.
I was so happy to see her on screen. You don't see her first, you hear her voice, and I instinctively was like, oh, wow, this is absolutely the person that I thought it was, and she was great. And oh, by the way, The Expanse, as we're recording this, is in fact in production and filming season 4, and that will air on Amazon Prime. So we all have to thank the Amazon people, Jeff Bezos personally, for making that happen. Now, Lauren, who directed this episode of The Punisher, 3 a.m., the premiere episode of The Punisher?
This episode was directed by Tom Shankland, who has 24 credits starting from 1995, including 2 of The Punisher, 1 of Iron Fist, 1 of Luke Cage, 3 of House of Cards, 8 of The Missing. He actually was a nominee for the Primetime Emmy for directing, 4 of Ripper Street, 3 of Dirk Gently, 3 of The Fades. And yeah, if you go back and you look through his list, it's a pretty good list.
Is indeed.
Oh, and there's an upcoming TV miniseries on BBC for Les Miserables, and he's there as a director for 6 episodes.
I believe when we talked about him on the Iron Fist series that we didn't fault him for the series at all.
No.
He's just a director of an episode. Michelle, who wrote this episode?
This episode was written by Steve Lightfoot, has 13 writing credits starting in 2004, including 20 episodes of Hannibal, a show that I miss. He was also the executive producer. He wrote one Narcos and was a consulting producer on 2 episodes, and wrote 4 episodes of The Punisher, but he is the creator of the show and the executive producer. And The Punisher is based on the Marvel Comics by Jerry Conway, John Romita Sr., and Ross Andrew.
So we'll be seeing a lot of Steve Lightfoot's name as we progress. All right, as we start talking about any episode, we talk about the general themes of the episode. We often attribute the theme to the actual title of the episode, which in this case is 3 a.m. So, Michelle, what does 3 a.m. mean in terms of the episode title and the theme of the episode?
Well, as we all know, Frank Castle is a big fan of 1990s pop. So while he is sledgehammering that wall, I mean, he has to be listening to some Rob Thomas and some, Matchbox 20 and such.
Nothing wrong with Matchbox 20.
The Punisher is definitely a Matchbox 20 guy. It's also the time of night that he keeps waking up. He has a nightmare. Well, it's a dream, and then it turns into a nightmare of his dead wife waking him up. And in the dream, it's 10:30 a.m., but then he'll wake up, and as we find out later in the episode, it's 3 in the morning, 3 a.m. every time. And that's why he goes down to the construction site and just beats the hell out of a wall.
Have you ever worked in a union shop, Lauren?
I have not.
Michelle, have you ever worked in a union shop?
A union shop? No.
Yeah. So a union shop or a union workplace is where the workers are there with the union, and union members are very particular about what you can and cannot do. So you are actually, if you want to put in extra time to try to get ahead, they will basically tell you, don't do it. And they will pressure you not to do it because it makes them look bad, and it kind of obscures the agreement that the union has with the company. So this happens all the time. This was not just something that happened in The Punisher here on a work site. This happens all the time for those that might not know it. And it's a real part of working in construction in certain states for sure. But what's happening with Frank is definitely an issue. You would expect this, and I'm glad they chose to explore it a bit more, even though we've already gone through it a little bit. And you had the support group meeting that went on in the basement of whatever it was, probably a church, but it could have been anything. And it was good that Frank was still trying to get help because he knows he needs to get help. No longer called Frank, by the way. His name's now Pete.
So when they call him Castiglione early on, they've in the comics, I forget when this was established, but Frank's original last name was Castiglione, which is Italian for castle. And that kind of made me happy. But yes, we do have, it was established in Daredevil. Frank has PTSD, very understandably. And he's still, remember with that brain injury that he had, he's reliving kind of this horrible event just over and over and over, kind of all the time. He's not in a good place. And we see that here. We're getting little hints of his inner life. He's trying to sort of reinvent himself, figure out what his life is now that he thinks he's killed everybody who was involved in his family's murder, which we saw a little of at the beginning of the episode also. And it's not going the greatest for him.
No, he's still suffering. And have we actually seen the scene in his bedroom where his wife gets shot before in Daredevil? I don't remember seeing it.
No, I don't believe so.
That was, it was towards the end of the episode once you've gone through the wake up scene a couple of times, but that was very graphic. Like, no wonder Frank is so screwed up.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's reliving her murder every night, and he's constantly having flashbacks of his family's death, and added to that his PTSD from his time in the Marines. And it's just no wonder the guy's a mess. He's just, everything in his life is terrible. And even if what was going on in his mind wasn't terrible enough, the people that are around him are terrible. His coworkers at that site are just awful to him. There's one guy who makes the effort to kind of be nice to him. And Frank, basically doesn't know how to handle it. I think when we were talking Daredevil season 2, I kept thinking of him as like a rescue pit bull. And I keep seeing that again here. It's like you reach out to him and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, like when he talks to Kurt, who's running the support group, Frank lingers outside, and then when everybody leaves, he goes and he talks to him because he is reading. He was reading Moby Dick, which, Captain Ahab and the whale. And that was lent to him by Kurt. And then Kurt is like, look, Frank Castle is technically dead. Pete is alive. You do have the rest of your life to go. And you should move forward. He knows it's not easy, but it's okay if you actually let all of this go and go get a life. You are allowed to live. After everything that's happened, you are allowed to live, and you are allowed to have friends, and you are allowed to find love again and be productive and be happy. But Frank has no clue how to do that.
At the beginning of the episode, you alluded to it before, Michelle. He's taking care of the rest of the mob, basically, that has gone after him. And he does it efficiently, effectively, but he gets no satisfaction out of it, as nobody else would. Matter of fact, the last guy he kills said, it's not going to bring your family back. No, it's not, but I'm not going to let you do this to anybody else either, basically, is the mindset that I have going through him, and out revenge. And like, you did this to me and you're not going to get away with it. And after that's done, this is 6 months later, and he's still suffering. He is at least trying to get help, and he is trying to integrate himself into society, basically being a loner construction worker where he can do manual work and work out some of his frustration. I think that might actually be a bit of a detriment. I mean, people that have gone through this sort of thing need to have a reflective time. But if you wall yourself out, like Kurt was saying in the group, then you might not be able to get back and might not be able to have a way to get you out of that hole that he was talking about during there. So very powerful stuff this episode. Of course, Punisher's screwed up character to begin with, but we're seeing that on screen, and my kudos to Marvel for pulling it off the way that they did.
And John Bernthal, I mean, every time we talk about him, he's so good. He's got that 1,000-yard stare down so perfectly. And he's so good just physically, both with the absolute brutality that Punisher's capable of and the kind of sad vulnerability of Frank. Like you feel for him. He's somebody who really should, by all rights, be despicable. He's somebody who kills people. Like you want heroes, superheroes especially, tend to be the people who, like Spider-Man, wrap up the people for police and trust justice to, carry the course. He's somebody who kills people really horribly. But John Bernthal just, I don't know, he's so good.
He didn't want to fight. In the construction area where he's cornered by the two guys, he did not want to do anything. And he didn't immediately come out that night that the hit was going down in the poker game to help his co-worker, the young guy, Donnie, that reached out for him, right? So Frank is just trying to get by, and he's not looking for confrontation, and yet it finds him, and it finds him right there, and he has to do something about it. I don't think if they hadn't come back to that construction site, Frank would be in bliss ignorance, so to speak, even though he knew what was going on about what was going on with his fellow construction crewmates, and he would have just let it happen. But now he's in the middle of it. Now he's pissed off yet another mob, the Nushi family, and it's going to go down from here. And we've got this whole side story with the ICE agents, and apparently it Stein at the very end who was looking at the alley camera ways. Was that Stein?
That was Micro.
Yeah, it's Micro.
Who I love the line. He says, "Welcome back, Frank." And that is one of the seminal Punisher stories. It was actually the character of the Punisher had been really losing popularity. And it wasn't until Garth Ennis wrote "Welcome Back, Frank" in the late 90s, early 2000s that the character really took off again.
So I look forward to seeing more of Micro, obviously, and seeing what's going on with their...
The character's name in the comics is Microchip, but it's kind of dated now, so.
We still use microchips. I just bought a microchip. CPUs
I know,
are microchips.
But it's one of those things where, like, you want to, if you call a character, just call him something that's like one or two syllables.
Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Well, like I was saying, still, you have this ICE agent who is trying to figure out what has been going on because something happened over in Afghanistan, and she got booted from there, and she got booted for her own thing. So she's trying to stitch everything together and has followed it back to the United States. And that's going to be an interesting storyline as it unfolds. I have not seen this series.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong with what I gather what happened. There was an informant there or somebody that they had promised safety to who I guess used to be a heroin smuggler.
No, he was part of the Afghan National Police.
That's
His
it.
name was Ahmad Zubair.
Yeah.
And basically Dinah was like, he was my partner. We promised him safety. We found out about these US soldiers trafficking heroin. And he gets killed, and she's wanting to find out who killed him in Afghanistan. She wanted to stay, but she gets pulled out. Here she is in Homeland Security, and she's trying to piece all of this together, and she wants to make this case, but her boss, played by C. Thomas Howell, who was great as Wolf, is like, no, you are not going to do this. You are here, you know, we saved you. You know, you still have a job because you check off all these boxes. And basically, she's being relegated to this corner and told to drop it. And she's actually told that Kandahar is off limits and to not look at after Castle and Shinover, you know, just leave it alone. And her partner, Stein, he's like, yeah, you are on like the bleep list because I'm there too. So we are just nobody. So if you want to do this, then, you know, it's going to cost us our jobs, but hey, we can go do this.
Her boss, by the way. Okay, so I already don't like C. Thomas Howell. I just have this kind of instinctive dislike of him, and maybe that could be because they used to play Soul Man just constantly on Comedy Central. Soul Man, by the way, is a movie about a white guy who dresses up in blackface to get into an all-black university that they made back in the 80s. Yeah, times have changed. This movie would not be made now, and honestly, it probably shouldn't have been made then. But anyway, he is so good at playing this boss. The boss is an asshole. He is just awful. He's making these horrible, like sexist, racist comments to her, and she just kind of has to take it if she wants to stay employed. It's awful. It's frustrating. It's terrible. And I'm already liking Dinah because I hate him so much.
She dealt with it very well. As if you're in a one-on-one situation, no witnesses, whatever, you fire back, and she did. And she did so, I think, with class and aggressiveness that the situation called for. So I'm really looking forward to her interaction with the department as things go on and this series goes on. I think they've set up a lot of things in this episode that are great. And to go back a second, one of the kills earlier on with Punisher taking out one of the last survivors of the cartel happened in Juarez, which is right across the border from El Paso, Texas. And so the Punisher is shooting from El Paso and the cartel member is in Juarez. I've been there before. I know how close they are, and it's kind of a perfect spot for that to happen. But it was an amazing shot, basically. So my kudos is off to the Punisher.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about was that metaphor of being down in a hole. Kurt tells this sort of metaphor at the group therapy about somebody who's down in a hole and is digging deeper, and somebody else jumps down there and is like, oh, I've been here before. And he tells Frank, you've been down in that hole so long that it's become a home to you. And of course, we get the perfect visualization of that metaphor at the end of the episode when they throw Donnie in not quite a hole, it's a cement mixer, and Frank's the one to get him out. And I thought, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Although, I mean, typical mobster, where's Jimmy Hoffa? That sort of thing, where Jimmy Hoffa's in the concrete of some stadium or something like that. Yeah, that's where this was going, and it's going to be interesting.
An awful way to die.
Yeah, I know it really is, because aside from
if you've ever been like strangled or suffocated, it hurts.
Not only that, but as the cement's curing, it gives off a hell of a lot of heat, so it's burning you in the process too. So not only are you drowning, but you're burning simultaneously, and you have all the pressure of the concrete. It's terrible way to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to find these three guys or not. And don't forget that there's a fourth that just couldn't have been there because he got his arm basically half taken off in the construction zone. So I don't know if he comes back later on either.
That was cold when they were like, hey, you were in the Marines, like first aid. Frank just stares at him and walks away. That was just kind of like saying so much by saying nothing.
Do you blame him, though? I mean, he was
I
about
do
to get his
not.
butt kicked. And
That was the Batman, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you thing. That was that right there.
let me amend what I just said. Frank was not about to get his butt kicked. Frank was about to get assaulted, and Frank would have kicked their butts, but he decided to walk away because he didn't owe them anything. He
Yeah,
didn't want to
Frank was
engage.
deciding whether or not to kill them all with a hammer. He was deciding how much trouble is this really?
And he was able to walk away because of the accident that occurred. He was able to disengage. And I think at that time, it was probably the best thing to happen to Frank, and he gets drugged back into it. Anyway, powerful episode. It really set up the series for me. I'm really looking forward to the next 12 weeks. Michelle, what else you got for the episode here?
I think it's interesting that he starts reading The Crack Up by F. Scott Fitzgerald. If you're not familiar with this, it's basically letters and essays of Scott documenting his fall from grace. And there's actually a famous quote from it. It says, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function." The following line is, "One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise." And I think that's Frank in a nutshell. He has lost our hope, but then he goes and saves Donnie because Donnie is dumb during the robbery, and he takes his license and it drops, and all the mob guys know who is trying to steal from him. So Frank goes and kills all of them in order to save Donnie's life. So he's trying to do some good.
Yeah, it's not all bad. Again, Frank is somebody that you're kind of rooting for here. It's not all bad. Aside from his issues he had with Daredevil, you think that he can go through a serious redemption arc here. And I think we're going to end up with just Frank always being a screwed up character because that's the Punisher. And I'm preparing myself for what's to come because it's not all going to be good, especially with Karen that's going to be involved. I could just see tons of bad stuff that's going to happen during this series. But at the same time, I don't know where Marvel's going to leave the series at the end of episode 13. I would think that they would want us to watch more. So I don't know how dark they're really going to get at the end. We'll see. All right. That is our discussion for The Punisher Season 1, Episode 1, 3 a.m. Next time, we will go over The Punisher Season 1, Episode 2, Two Dead Men. We look forward to that at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the 14th of October. In the meantime, Michelle, if our listeners are looking for other great geeky content, which they can listen or watch to along the way, what suggestions do you have for them this week?
Well, one podcast we have is the Dad I.O. podcast. Episode 23 is Granola Bars versus the Internet Generation. This week, Ryan and Andrew invited veteran educator Tess Wingington to discuss a viral ad for Nature Valley granola bars that has spurred a conversation around whether or not our kids are forgetting how to play and experience nature the way we and our parents' generation did. Are kids doomed to be slaves to their devices? They discuss all angles of this topic and take a look at how past generations dealt with technology when something new appeared to steal kids' attention. Again, that's Dad I.O. Podcast, episode 23. In today's news, we're going to start off with, I guess, something that's kind of sad, and that's Chris Evans being done as Cap.
Yeah, this was from earlier this week. Actually, it was on October 4th. Chris Evans posted on Twitter, "Officially wrapped on Avengers 4. It was an emotional day, to say the least. Playing this role over the last 8 years has been an honor. To everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience, thank you for the memories. Eternally grateful." And it made me a little teary-eyed. And Robert Downey Jr. has responded We all know who the real sheriff in town is, at Chris Evans. And it's a picture, and it says "To Infinity, War, and Beyond." And it's a picture of Buzz Lightyear, but his outfit looks like the Iron Man suit. And Woody, both of these are from Toy Story, by the way, but his outfit is the red, white, and blue, and like caps, and it's adorable and makes me very emotional.
I was a bit shocked at the announcement because I thought it was just a contractual ploy. Still might be, who knows? But I didn't think he was definitely going to leave, although it certainly looks like he's gone.
Well, it would make sense. The mantle of Captain America has been passed on to others.
Indeed, but with Robert Downey Jr. hanging on as long as he has, I was assuming Chris Evans would hang on a little bit more too. But I guess it's time to move on to different characters, and I'm okay with that. But
Robert Downey Jr. doesn't have to work out as much as Chris Evans does to be Captain America.
True, he does have to work out. I mean, let's face it, to be screen fit, you can't go and eat a freaking cheeseburger every day, but and then not work out. So I can see that, but okay. I mean, I liked Chris Evans as Captain America. I've enjoyed Captain America on screen every single time he's been on screen, and it'll be sad to see him go, but we also have great new characters coming into the universe too, like Captain Marvel. So, there's only so much screen time that can go around. Yes, they've been doing 2 movies and 3 sometimes successfully every year for a while, but take a look at the Star Wars franchise and what's happened to that with trying to cram too much content into every given year. So maybe it's time to spread the wealth a little bit to other characters.
I object. Well, I object that Star Wars is too much.
Well, okay. I see where your point is. However, Disney is not pleased about how successful it has been. It has been successful, but it hasn't been as successful as they had planned for it. So that's why there's been some controversy over Kathleen Kennedy and Iger coming out and saying, "Oh, it's my fault," trying to protect her. And I don't know. We'll see what the bottom line is in a couple of years with Star Wars.
Moving on to another Netflix series, we learn more about the next season of Daredevil.
Yes, we got a Bullseye origin trailer. So we do know that Bullseye is going to be in season 3. Season 3? What season are we on?
3.
3. Oh God, I can't count. There's so much going on. And we got about a minute and a half thing of his origin and some stuff that he does and some stuff that he's going to do in this season that has me really worried. And so it's a bit spoilery if you want to skip it, but it's cool if you want to see it. Yeah. I'm excited and scared. Scared-sighted.
And we know Tom Holland is bad when it comes to spoilers, and it looks like it's gotten contagious, and Mark Ruffalo has caught the bug.
Mark Ruffalo has always had the bug. He spoiled the end of Infinity War, and everyone just thought he was joking. But on Jimmy Fallon, on October 5th, he tweeted, "Jimmy Fallon, I trust that you will cut my spoiler clip on the show tonight. That was off the record, homie. Please don't get me in trouble with Marvel, Barry. Again, DM me back, M." To which the Russo brothers replied, "Mark, you're fired." Oh! Apparently, he might have released the name of the most recent movie. There was a beep. His mouth was blurred. It might be a publicity stunt. Who knows? But then again, it's Mark Ruffalo, so it might not be. I don't know. Also, this week at New York Comic Con, he was walking around in a Grunkle stand from Gravity Falls costume. He posted pictures of himself on Instagram and Twitter. It's adorable. It's great.
I could see this being a PR stunt to move ahead. I mean, I guess I'm alone in the galaxy in not being enthralled with the end of Infinity War and what happened in that film and everything. But I wasn't really looking forward to finding out what the name of Avengers 4 really was. It's still not, but I could see this trying to gen up some excitement for that.
Moving on to a Sony property, Venom is out.
Okay, the reviews are mixed, to say the least. I will say it looks bonkers. It looks like Tom Hardy is enjoying chewing at some scenery. And I am posting a link to my favorite review, which is from Gavia Baker Whitelaw at thedailydot.com, which is titled Ignore the Haters, Venom is Hilarious. And it gives some spoilers, such as the fact that Tom Hardy does in fact make out with the symbiote. It's not on him, though, at the time. Cowards. She calls it basically perfect for the monster frackers of Tumblr. And it sounds bonkers. This is something I'm going to have to watch like on a discount day, a discount morning at the movies. It's okay. For me, Venom succeeded at what Suicide Squad failed to do. Deliver an enthusiastically weird superhero spin-off with an edgy but funny lead. Sure, much of Venom is clunky or derivative. The fight scenes are whatever. The world building is paper thin. And Michelle Williams' wig is truly inexplicable. But I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So, this might be fun. It got compared to Vampire's Kiss, which, if you've ever seen it, is a bonkers movie. Nicolas Cage eats a vampire. He's convinced he's a vampire. It's kind of the perfect Halloween movie if you love bad movies and Nicolas Cage. So yeah, I doubt we'll be talking about it on the podcast proper, but I don't know. It sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, for us to talk about it on the podcast proper, we actually have to go see it. And right now, none of us have seen it. And I don't know what our plans are to see it until it comes out on video or whatever, other than Lauren's going to go to a discount morning at her local theater, hopefully in Alamo House, so you can get some beer and stuff and see the actual film.
One word, flask.
There's that too. So we'll see. I'm not the biggest horror fan in the world myself, and I know a lot of people are, so I'm not going to poo-poo this.
I am the person who is watching a horror movie a day every month of October because every day in October is Halloween.
Yeah.
This is science. This is a scientific fact.
Actually, October, I believe, is the month that Hallmark Channel starts its holiday movies too.
Ugh.
And another angel gets its wings because SP brought up the Hallmark Channel.
It's good, wholesome family fun.
I'm going to watch some movie where somebody gets like possessed by something and then vomits copiously after we're done recording.
Just watch the next episode of The Punisher. You'll be fine.
Does The Punisher count as horror?
Ooh.
Probably not. No, it's more of an action thriller.
Dark action. Yeah.
And we have a new Spider-Verse trailer.
Have either of y'all seen this?
Yes.
It's so cute. I'm so looking forward to this. We got Peter Parker. Oh my God. Finding out that Spider-Man 616 Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has a Christmas album is lovely. We get a glimpse of Spider-Ham. We get a glimpse of, speaking of Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man Noir. Just, I'm so looking forward to this movie.
We'll see if we cover it when it comes out. I don't know. That might be another game time decision. And oh, by the way, backing up a little bit to Venom, it was compared to Suicide Squad. So I got to ask, is it going to win its own Academy Award?
Who knows?
And with that, we're going to move on into the feedback.
We had a lot of activity on Twitter, and we're starting with @BornToEatBacon.
So Twitter had a thing. @Twitter said, you're stranded on a desert island. Your phone has charge for just one final tweet. Go. And @BornToEatBacon said, stranded at these coordinates, include GPS coordinates. Send the bus. We all miss the bus.
We do. And we sent Haley with the bus to go get him. And that's where Haley might be right now, is just tinkering with the bus to make sure it's all operational for the next time we need it.
Yeah. We all miss the bus. We also have, in response to our poll, which by what was it, 1 vote?
Yeah, 1 vote, Punisher won.
In response to that, @084 said both. Well, it's a GIF. It's from the movie The Road to El Dorado. It's a very famous GIF. Both is good. I wish we could do both, but oh my God, time is a finite thing, at least for us.
We discussed doing both of them simultaneously, and every time we've done it before, it's ended up kind of mucking up our production capability. So
can you imagine that mood dissonance?
It would definitely, like, Cloak and Dagger would be the palate cleanser to Punisher.
And we also had from @AndyMigna in response to the poll, more or less I enjoyed these two about the same. Since Punisher was released nearly 1 year ago, I'll vote for the one fresher, even though I watched Punisher after C&D just 1 month ago. Did you cover Runaways yet? We have not covered Runaways yet.
In fact,
There's so much Marvel stuff.
There is. And originally we went into wanting to do the Netflix series because it's technically part of the MCU, and Runaways and Cloak and Dagger were not. However, we do understand that a lot of people do like Cloak and Dagger and Runaways, and The Gifted for that matter, which The Gifted is back on this season 2 on Fox right now. And we just have to prioritize as we go along. We did put that poll out. It was only a 1-day poll, but we put it out asking whether our audience wanted to do Cloak and Dagger or Punisher. And I think we'll do that from now on. We'll do one or the other as we go into the poll. Will actually have to go longer than a day, but that's all the time that we had this time around. So we'll ask after the Punisher. And I don't know about you guys. I am looking forward to the rest of the Netflix stuff for sure. I'd be looking forward to Cloak and Dagger. Gifted, I'm a little so on that one.
So good. It's actually gotten better this season.
Yeah.
I need to catch up.
I have said that I wasn't going to watch it, but I did watch it while I was on the elliptical, so I am current on it. I don't know if I want to podcast about it, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there is a lot of interest. I mean, I heard Beef over on Legends podcast. He's really into The Gifted, so I know there's interest out there. Any other feedback for the week?
That looks like it.
All right. So we're going to take this opportunity and grab a sledgehammer to beat this wall on the way out. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us during this grandiose Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. hiatus. I have no idea what week we're in right now. Probably about 20 or so. We expect at least 20 more weeks, if not like 25, 30 more weeks of hiatus before the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And we'll continue down the path of, as we were just discussing, looking into all the other great Marvel properties out there in the meantime. So thank you for staying with us through that.
Thank you to everybody who listens to us, who gives us feedback, who just pops in on Twitter to tell us something that you think we might find funny or interesting. We really, really appreciate it. We love hearing from you. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for listening to us ramble. We really appreciate it.
And thank you very much to everybody that stopped in and chatted with us on our live page, www.geeks.live. It was great having you there, like Born to Eat Bacon. So until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2018.